Hi there, and welcome to today's session on LinkedIn Live. Today, we're going to be talking about Vantage and how it plug and plays with lots of our services from our cloud provider partners. Now, today, great session. We've got not just one, but two experts, and they're going to be Shamira and Anu. So, Anu, well, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anuradha Mohan. I'm Director of Product Management here at Teradata, and I manage all things data integration and how Vantage reaches out and connects to your data sets.
Beautiful. And Shamira, go ahead, introduce yourself too.
Hi, I'm Shamira. I'm a product manager at Teradata, and I oversee cloud first-party integrations with Vantage. So how Vantage connects to all the wonderful services available in cloud providers.
Beautiful. Well, you've kind of queued it up for us. You know, we integrate Vantage with our cloud provider. So, you know, hey, it wouldn't be a session without a PowerPoint slide. So let's go ahead, cue it up, and let's look at the first one there. And wow, that's kind of complicated. Who wants to kind of start off and explain what is it we're looking at here?
I'll take a stab at it, Kevin. So, you know that Teradata Vantage is a connected multi-cloud data platform for enterprise analytics. Right. But really, what does that mean? At the core of this platform is still our advanced SQL engine, which is our differentiated SQL capability. What we've done also is we've baked machine learning capabilities inside so our customers can query and analyze the data at scale. Now, in addition to making all this available across AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, we've also ensured that Vantage is an open platform and it embraces a modern cloud architecture, right? For example, with Vantage, we cater to SQL savvy users, as well as our citizen data scientists and data science developers who can pretty much bring their R and Python libraries and plug it into our platform. If you have data gravity building in your object stores, you can point Vantage to your object stores and we'll query the structured data that lies within your Vantage platform, as well as semi-structured data that comes to your object store with a single query. You have messaging platforms like Kafka, Kinesis, Azure Event Hubs that are streaming data. We can absolutely take that data in and query it for you. All in all, Kevin, I think what I'm saying is that our customers have the ability to use a very modular Lego block approach, if you will, in modernizing their data and analytics platform as they move to the public cloud.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said something kind of interesting. You said that Vantage can reach out to the object store. So that's like AWS S3, Azure Blob, ADLS, and Google Cloud Storage. Now, do you mean that you have to like go separately and load that into Vantage to access it?
Absolutely not. You can choose to pretty much keep the data in object stores. We know that there's so much gravity of applications that are writing data to the object stores. You have your clickstream data. You could have tons of data that's actually gathering in the object store. And with Vantage, you can query this data in place. And what's even better is you don't have to really curate the data, do an ETL or an ELT into Vantage. You can pretty much use a single SQL and we'll query across the database and your object stores as though they were just one platform.
Really? So you mean one SQL statement and I can join data from both Vantage as well as say like S3 or Azure Blob?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, that's very, very useful. Now, I'm also kind of noticing on this diagram, there's kind of some stuff on the left there. You said like Kafka and looks like some applications. How do those kind of work in? What are those doing there?
Yeah, no, I think, so what better way to talk about this than with an actual example? So I'd love to walk you through an actual use case for this. But effectively with Vantage, because we are building out our comprehensive connectivity, And we want our customers to not just connect to various data sources, but also derive value from it as soon as possible. That's why our focus has been to really integrate with a number of cloud services, including SaaS applications like your Salesforce, your Workday, ServiceNow, etc., through cloud service integrations, so that we can bring all the right data for you to query and analyze.
So you're saying that Vantage doesn't have to rule everything. It can actually kind of connect out to a larger ecosystem. So it enables you, but you don't have to put everything into Vantage like perhaps maybe we said 10, 20 years ago.
Absolutely. That's spot on, Kevin. So for the best performance, naturally, it is better for certain data sets to lie inside the Vantage file system. But we do understand that as our customers' data starts getting distributed across so many different systems, throw in multi-cloud approaches that our customers are taking, their legacy systems that could be on-premise, we do understand that it is not practical to bring all the data and integrate it before having to query it. So we offer so many different methodologies, either ingesting the data, accessing it in place on an object store. We have a high performance query fabric that would federate your queries onto your Hive and Spark instances. We have the ability to pretty much bring data from SaaS applications, load it into an object store and query it from there. So really the flexibility is all yours. And we truly believe in providing a very modular approach to building your whole data architecture.
Got it. Okay, so that's starting to make sense. But you kind of said you've got an example. So I learn best by example. So show me one.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next slide to just take a look at one out of a few examples that we would like to share with you. So we were thinking through, what are some good use cases to look at, and we could not get away from the Customer 360. It is such a high-profile use case in so many verticals across telecom, retail, pharmaceutical. It's becoming such a critical paradigm to really help businesses increase sales, improve customer retention, and potentially even break into adjacent market segments. Right? What Customer 360 is basically an aggregation or unification of the customer interaction touchpoints. So they could be online transaction. The customers could be tweeting something on social media or liking certain pages or expressing interests in many different forms that needs to all be collected, as well as any third-party interactions that our customers could have. There could be call and service records that need to be integrated. Really, all this needs to be aggregated into what is called a single source of truth, so that it helps companies across these verticals really understand the customer journey, meet demand, and personalize the customer experience, right? Now, the challenge, of course, is that all this data is extremely distributed, right, in so many different formats across multiple cloud service providers, in anywhere from super legacy systems to streaming data from social media, or there could be data that's landing on the object store. There could be customer records, etc., that lie within the curated data sets of our DBMS file systems and so on. So it's truly, it's Customer 360 is often called a holy grail because there are so many people who seek it, but not many who actually attempt it or do it right effectively. And I'd like to, give you an example of how Vantage really enables a Customer 360 in this case and makes the life of a data engineer in one such company extremely simple. So if you go to the next slide. Right. So let's start off with Vantage, right? We typically have customers who store order history, product data, customer data, and a number of their previous transactions that have been executed inside our cloud data warehouse, right? And naturally, this could be on AWS, it could be on Azure, it could be on Google Cloud, etc. Now, to build a true Customer 360, you're looking at potentially social media data that could be coming in through any of these applications. It could be coming in through your Kafka queues or Kinesis data streams or event hubs or Google Cloud Pub Sub, etc. Now, in this particular example, with Vantage's integration with cloud first-party services like AWS AppFlow and Azure Data Factory, with these services, we are able to pull, for example, customer touchpoint or opportunity data from Salesforce. We are able to pull call and service records from ServiceNow. We're able to pull transaction history and really the pathing that the customer has taken through applications like Shopify, etc., landed on the object store. And with our native object store capability, join this data with the data that already resides on Vantage, right? And naturally, this entire thing can be automated using Lambdas and Azure automation. And that's not the end of it. You can feed it to your downstream applications. You can update your real-time dashboards. You may have a machine learning model that's operationalized, and this data could hit that operationalized model, and that could generate responses. And in addition, you can pretty much feed it back via a bidirectional connector to potentially run marketing campaigns, say in a Salesforce marketing cloud, etc. Really, the whole customer 360 becomes much more attainable, much more comprehensive because of the continuous data that is flowing in, the comprehensive connectivity that Vantage offers, and really the flexibility in being able to use various applications in order to get to this use case.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm seeing here is it looks like, again, Vantage doesn't have to be like the only thing in your ecosystem. It can be that performant analytic engine that does what Vantage does best. Your analytics, your performance, your reports, your dashboards. But if you need to, say, ingest your Twitter feeds, you don't necessarily have to do it with Vantage. You go ahead and you use, say, like whatever, Kafka, Kinesis, event hubs to bring that in because that's what they do best. But then you can stream that data into Vantage. Is that kind of what I'm looking at here?
Yeah, absolutely. You can. You're absolutely right, Kevin. So you can stream that data into Vantage. You can land it on an object store. Very soon, you'll be able to query it in place within these messaging platforms as well. And effectively, you're able to get the right data, the freshest data about this customer, and be able to join it with their transaction history, their order history, their demographic data, location data potentially, and really be able to generate a full customer 360 profile. So you could have a service, a support person who's taking a call from this customer, and they would be accessing this data that could tell them that this particular customer had purchased certain things and were happy with it because they wrote a certain review. And that could feed into how this particular call center person interacts with this customer and personalizes that customer's experience. And happy customers means more sales. So
absolutely. No, I like this. So it seems to me that, again, the stuff that goes in Vantage is the stuff that you use very often. So you want that to be performant. But, if like you're my kids and they tweet up like every 2 seconds, there's a lot of data. So leave that out somewhere on cheap storage, but bring it in as you need. It sounds like there's a way and a place for everything. You don't have to put it all in Vantage, but Vantage can reach out and touch everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Kevin. That's spot on. So, it makes the life of this particular data engineer in this organization much easier because now this person has the ability to build out the right data platform pipelines depending on SLA requirements. He can make the decision as to what data to integrate, what data to keep in place, look at some of the latency needs because they could need real-time dashboard updates every minute or every couple of minutes and so on. And that could feed into how this person selects various cloud native services that actually form the ecosystem around Vantage. So Vantage really plays nice with a number of these services offered by our cloud service providers.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. This certainly makes sense. I like this. Now, you again said you had examples. I heard it plural. So what else do you got for me?
I would love to walk you through more, but I'm going to pass it on to Shamira, who has so many more examples lined up for our session today.
That's right. Shamira's been way too quiet. So Shamira, you're on tap.
All right. Thank you. I know that was an excellent example to get us started, and we're looking forward to showing you a couple more. So let's go to the next slide, please. All right. So Kevin, a question to you. Which organization does not want to prevent customer churn?
Does not want to prevent, or they all want to prevent?
They all want to prevent. It's like the most important metric a lot of organizations are after. And the example we're going to talk about today.
Let's see. If we're talking about churn, and don't worry about that, that's the dog. He's thinking about churn even as we speak, and he just said telco.
That's right. Churn is especially important to our telco providers and customers of Vantage today. Again, very, very relevant to a number of verticals, but in this particular example, we're going to look at the telco use case. With your cell phone, right, you get a drop call and you're unhappy. You then have your data run out and you're unhappy. Your internet stops working and then you're like really mad. And now you go online and now you're clicking through their service support portal, and it's a whole set of interactions with this company's ecosystem that just highlights kind of dissatisfaction and a risk of churn. Now, all of this obviously happens relatively quickly, and this example really shows you the power of near real-time streaming. So how can we use data as soon as it's generated, combine it with historical data in Vantage, and really, as Anu said, sort of bring in this kind of assortment of data sources, but combine them with one query inside Vantage and allow you to really get the insights you're looking for, which in this case is a dashboard on who is likely to churn. Let's send them a proactive offer or coupon, give them a call, and maybe say, we're working to fix this. So that's really this use case, and very powerful, as you can imagine. So I'm excited to walk you through a more detailed diagram on the next slide.
Yeah, you definitely piqued my interest, so I'm curious.
So again, you have your Vantage data warehouse. It has your, customer data, historical records, stuff that you query very often. Vantage runs on all our cloud platforms today. So AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, you can have it out there. Now we're talking about all of your cell phone towers and other, monitoring devices that are generating large amounts of data in real time, right? So now you have all this data coming in. You have customer interaction data with your website also coming in, clickstream, web traffic, complaints, maybe, being logged. You can kind of stream all of that into Vantage in one of two ways. So you can use the cloud streaming services that you see on that box to your left. You have the Kinesis, the Pub Subs, the Event Hubs, and then you have the Kafka and different distributions of that as well. And you can either pipe that data into the object store like we discussed in the previous example, or we're developing this new capability that's soon to be released. But what that will do is let you pipe that data directly into Vantage. So should you want to run really, really fast, performant, at-scale queries inside Vantage, you bring this data into Vantage. You can potentially process it there with your models, with your AI capabilities that you have either, again, inside Vantage or using a third-party AI service or a SageMaker or a Microsoft AI. And you can then pipe it out if you want to store it in an object store later. So there's multiple ways to do this. What's really exciting is the ability to actually pipe the streaming data into Vantage and process it there, which this example kind of illustrates. But now we stop and think about, okay, we have access to all of this data, in a matter of like seconds, in a minute. Okay, so now you have this data, and in a few minutes you can tell, okay, someone's not having a great experience with my product, with my, in this case, telephone service. how can I make this right, and then proactively get after it so you can prevent customer churn in the long term.
Interesting. Now, you said Vantage Streams is not quite here today, but it's coming real soon, right?
Yes. Anu, did you want to chip in with a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's very close to being released on AWS first out, and then we'll build it out like we always do on all of our cloud service providers. Right. And Shamira, is it also fair to say that this is also an alternative that can be used in say the previous customer 360 example, right? You could also stream the social media and the sentiment data, because this could very well fit into that use case as well, should the data engineers choose to go this way.
Yeah, for sure. I think the potential applications of streaming and the analytics that come with that is endless. I think we're kind of at the tip of the iceberg in terms of the industry and where it's heading. We're excited to be right in front of that journey and enabling our customers to do everything they possibly want with their data as soon as they want to do that. So I think it's two aspects, right? It's all the data and now as fast as possible getting to those insights.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like I've got two options here. So I could stream into object storage, and I can do that today. Great object store. It's real cheap, and I can reach into it with our native object store. But if I think that data is valuable enough, it seems like I can plug it into Streams and just dump it into Vantage where I get full performance. It seems like I can do it either way, right?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Oh, very nice. I like it. It's got options. And now you did point out the AI services above. So it seems like, I've got kind of my options there. If I want to, I can use the capabilities within Vantage, but it seems like I'm not limited. If I like SageMaker, if I like Machine Learning Studio, I can use those too.
Yeah, so we can dive a little bit deeper there. So you definitely can use the inbuilt, AI capabilities that Vantage has in database, which is obviously as performant as our queries and can get you a lot of those insights. Now we expect, customers of Vantage to be building a lot of their AI models in SageMaker, in the Google AI platform, in H2O, different wonderful AI capabilities out there. You can either build those models and then bring those models into Vantage. That's a capability we have today. Bring your own model, and then you can also. Something we're working on is being able to reach out to the model in these services. So for example, reaching out to a SageMaker model from within Vantage. And that's something we're also working on. But today you can, for example, build your model with a small subset of your data in, say H2O, and then you bring in your model into Vantage for scoring. So now anytime you get, new data sets that need very performant scoring, you just run that natively in Vantage and get those insights really, really fast.
Interesting. I like that. So what I'm kind of hearing is, if I love my SageMaker, I love my Machine Learning Studio, I can go ahead and continue using those tools. I can create the models, train them, but when I want to score it, and that's going to take lots of data, I leave that data in Vantage. So I'm not moving it here, moving it back. I just leave it there and I run the model in Vantage. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. Yep. It's bring your own model, capability. It's really exciting, a lot of potential, and definitely reach out to us if you want to hear more.
Got it. Okay, I like that, because moving data back and forth, that's one of the things that really I hear lots of complaints. So if I can keep it in one place, I like it. So I know we're kind of getting short on time. Is there one more example you've got?
There is one more. So let's go to the next slide, and I'll be cognizant of the time here. So this is another really exciting area of just the potential of combining data, right? That's sort of the theme of today. So if you think about, pharmaceutical companies and companies that are looking to, do the really, really critical work of curing disease and finding treatment methods that work, there's obviously large amounts of data that is required to come to conclusions. This could be, clinical trial data. This could be DNA sequencing data. What we've found is, historically when data was kind of localized to the organization itself, it took a long time to get all the data needed. But in today's environment, with the world being so global and data just, being generated all across the globe, people are working on the same, towards the same causes, and in an example like COVID-19, trying to find the right vaccine and the right treatment methods. These data sets are shareable, right? So now it kind of opens an organization that's trying to work on this, this cure, out to data from, say, institutions or academic institutions around the world, maybe research facilities. And there's an easy way to do this today with the cloud, the power of the cloud, right? It makes you, makes data sort of like just this almost tradable entity. And so we'll see on the next slide here how, again, Vantage lets you do that and lets you kind of bring data in from many different places, including data shares. So could we go to the next slide, please? So again, we have a lot of pharmaceutical and healthcare customers using Vantage today. They historically have, a lot of their highly queried data. We're talking about test results and experimentation and clinical trial data, that sort of stuff residing in Vantage. We can bring in data from the cloud native data sharing services like AWS Data Exchange and Azure Data Share. Again, you just load that data into a cloud object store and then use NOS. You can keep it there. You don't need to move it, just like you were talking about. And then join and analyze that data with all the data that resides in Vantage today. So this is obviously kind of opens up, if you go on AWS Data Exchange, for example, you'll see a lot of COVID-19 data sets, as well as you'll see data sets about, weather patterns around the world. If you want to make correlation or causation analysis, all of that stuff is freely available. And companies are now looking to more and more monetize their data sets, but also look to just, do more good with data.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm looking, there's a line at the top, though, that says Query Grid. I don't think you've mentioned that before. What is that line doing for me?
Okay, so that line up there, so Query Grid, as Anu mentioned at the very start, is our highly performant data fabric, and it allows you to federate queries to different data sources and like data engines. So if you look on the left, you have managed Hadoop clusters, and you have cloud services that now provide that capability for you. It is traditional to have, and for the reason that this data is very large and in nature, so DNA sequencing data, for example, is stored in Hadoop clusters. We are able to go from Vantage, writing a query in SQL. You can go out and reach out to the data in your Hadoop clusters and bring in just the data that's relevant. So we're not moving all the data. We're moving the data required for the computation that you have asked for. So that's what Query Grid is capable of. It has a lot of other connectivity options. It's really powerful. It's really performant, and it brings in yet another data source into Vantage.
Right, mm-hmm. And then this whole concept of pushing down or federating the query and not moving unnecessary data around, especially in today's hybrid and multi-cloud world, it becomes so critical, because you could have your instances, not just your Teradata Vantage instances, but you could be, you could have your Vantage running on AWS that needs to talk to a Google Cloud data proc, for example, right? And you cannot just be moving scores of data back and forth. You really need an ability to make sure that you're processing the data closest to, with the engine closest to it, right? And then only sending back the final results for maybe a final aggregation or something like that. So you're not bogged down by egress charges and other charges, or come up against network bandwidth considerations, for example.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said federated, so you mean just like the native object store, that NOS capability. With Query Grid, it's all one SQL statement. I'm not like loading the data, then doing a SQL. It's just one SQL statement, does everything.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is, Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. So you've showed me 3 examples. Absolutely love them. Do you have maybe kind of like a broader view of, maybe more integrations that Vantage has to kind of maybe tie us out here?
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to the next slide. That's teeing us up very well, Kevin.
Almost if I knew.
You see on the far left, there, many different types of data sources: unstructured, semi-structured, structured. We've got, the sensor type of data all the way, down to more organized, transactional data that you want to ingest. So this diagram really captures the different methods you can use to pipe data into Vantage, to federate queries with Vantage, and to use those AI ML capabilities that might exist outside of Vantage today. So and then, at the end of the day, use your BI tool of choice, your visualization tools. We support those integrations as well. It's really, sort of like Anu described, a Lego block approach to really piecing together your data ecosystem with the tools and capabilities that you feel are relevant to your organization.
Got it. Now, I got to ask you, do we favor any of the cloud providers? Are we showing a little bit more love to one or the other? Or are we playing favorites here?
We play nice with all of them.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole point of the multi-cloud platform is that at the end of the day, it's about our customers and the data and analytics architecture that they want to build out and the outcomes they want to drive. So whatever is their choice, whether it is any of the major cloud service providers, whether they want to be in a hybrid cloud mode for some time as they migrate to the public cloud fully, we need to ensure that we are there for them and play nice and provide the capabilities in multiple different ways that would set them up for success.
Mm-hmm. So as we kind of close out here, since we're at the bottom of the hour, of the questions that came in, one really good question, which just tied into what you mentioned, what about Vantage to Vantage connectivity? So like you just mentioned, what if you have on-premises and cloud? How would you connect those?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And, the capability that we mentioned, QueryGrid, which is our high-speed query fabric, actually has Vantage to Vantage connectivity. So you can have your Vantage systems on-prem, you could have it across AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, and it ties it together, creates this query fabric that would just go and federate your queries across all these systems. And naturally, it's not restricted to just Vantage to Vantage. You can go Vantage to Amazon's EMR, HT Insight, or any other managed Hive and Spark. You could go out to Oracle, for example. Right?
Interesting. Well, Anu, Shamira, I absolutely appreciate this. This has been wonderful. You've again shown us how Vantage really connects and plays with all of the services on the cloud providers for that connected ecosystem. So again, Anu, Shamira, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Kevin, for having us.
Thank you. This has been great. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. And for everybody, of course, we're going to do this again at the end of July. We're going to do a session on the, if I can get this right, data where lake mesh house or something like that, and kind of, well, which one should you be using? So again, stay tuned. Join us at the end of July. Thank you very much.